Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and I'd like to wish everyone, since this is probably my last show of this year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, all those lovely things. And want to make sure you guys all know how much I appreciate you and so grateful that you're here every week, whether I am or not. So thank you. Tonight, my guest is Rex Neilson. He's been on here before. About 10 months ago, he was on here with Madison Smith of Madison Paranormal. Well, tonight he's on here all by himself. And he's going to tell us about what he's been doing in the last 10 months and what he's got coming up in the future. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say. So welcome, Rex. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
I'm just glad you wanted to come on. So in the last 10 months, we all know that a lot of things have changed because the last time we talked, COVID was just a concept.
Right.
You know, there was no shutdowns. There was, this is like the flu. It's not a big deal. And Iowa didn't shut down for quite a while with all that. But what have you done in the last 10 months to keep yourself busy going through this unprecedented time?
Oh, I tried as much as I could. I mean, I had 18 events or expos set up for the year, and all but one got canceled. So I did.
Which one was that?
It was the little one in Clinton, Iowa. It was just a little one-day event.
I thought for sure, though, that the Van Meter Festival would go off since it's all outside and everything else.
Right.
But it just happened to be at the time when Iowa had a bad outbreak.
Yeah. And we're have another bad outbreak. We're a red state again, so we can't go anywhere or do anything unless you want to be quarantined as soon as you do.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Are any of the venues open? Like I know that at one time, which one? Farrar was open. They allowed some people to rent. I'm pretty sure Josh has had Malvern open. And
yes, because I went there.
Well, I saw that you went there. You called it Malvern. I know other people that call it Malvern.
Yep.
There's Malvern, Kansas, and Malvern, Iowa.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of experience with Malvern Manor as well. So what happened for you? Was this your first time there or
no,
a return visit?
It was a return visit. The first time I went was more as, what do I want to say, a speaker and just talking to people. I didn't really get to per se do investigation, and it would have been a moot point. As many people that were there, there were in so much contamination and everything else that you probably would have not gotten much of anything except for personal experiences. But
Right.
the last time I went was just me and my fiance, and we had the whole place to ourselves all night long, and it was amazing. I haven't put it out yet, but I caught 30 seconds of a shadow figure down the hallway where the bathroom is and where his office is.
Oh, okay. I will tell you that office, I got a drill bit thrown at me and scratched down the middle of my back. We'd only been there like 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So needless to say, his brother thought, oh, that room's fine. There's nothing going on in there. And after that, he didn't want to be in there anymore. Because it used to be the little museum when they first opened up. I mean, it kind of still is, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird. But so I don't know.
Yeah.
So how big is your shadow figure? Can you tell?
It starts out because I had motion and sound activated cameras all over, and it catches this. The first room to the right of the bathroom there is now like his studio.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts, you can see a shadow moving on the door frame, like it's going up and down or peeking. And it goes on for about 15 seconds or so, and then it like goes into the floor. Then all of a sudden you see this figure walk out of that room across and down the hallway. It's a full bodied apparition that walks down towards his office. It's 30 seconds of continuous recording.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I said. And I still haven't gone through everything because me being All Out Paranormal is me now.
Right.
It takes a long time, and on top of doing my art, and then I take care of my mother during the week. She has Alzheimer's. I got to find time to squeak it in there.
I understand. Life gets the better of a good time sometimes.
Absolutely.
But life also gives you those good times. So I guess we have to give and get, or give and live, and there you go. We're all done. But so he made the room after the bathroom into a studio now?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, good. I hope the window's closed, because the last time we were in there, we slept in there and got snowed on.
That's where I slept the first time I was there.
Yeah, we take tents and we sleep inside so that we can have some privacy. So, yep, it helps. It helps to stay a little bit warmer anyway. But now I hear there's heat upstairs.
Yes.
In the other parts of the building.
Yep.
Is there also air in the other parts of the building, or just heat?
I don't think there's air in the other parts of the building yet.
Okay.
I know that was one of the things that they were going to be working on last time I spoke to him anyway.
I think they could use another bathroom.
Absolutely.
That's just my thought. So, because sometimes when you have quite a few people there, you got a line for the restroom when you take a break.
I was going to sell tickets the first time I was there.
Oh, yeah.
50 cents a ticket.
Like I said, it's an interesting place. When we go, we have a really good time. I bring a bunch of crock pots and make, chili cheese hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And bring some kind of cake with liquor in it. And we have a good time. Might be 15 of our favorite friends, but it's still nice to be able to kind of have a mini event with all our friends.
Exactly. That would be fun. I'd like to go back because I know that's one of the few places that are open that I can go to. Because when we were there, I had equipment running everywhere, and in the middle of the night, at some point, up in the hallway where the big shadow figure runs down at you.
Oh, yeah, Shadow Man hallway.
Yep. I had stuff set up shooting down the hallway. I even had the Connects thing up and running. I had my new digital recorder down there. It records in 8 different tracks. I had 2 cameras plus the Connects and a computer running. And when I went and checked it at 5 o'clock in the morning, everything had been shut off. And the only way to shut the cameras and the recorders off is you got to hold down the button for 3 seconds for it in order to shut off. And I checked them, and the batteries were still good. And there was nobody else in there, but it was just Joy and I.
Right.
But because I got up and to go check it, and everything was shut off. I'm going, you are kidding me. Cameras and everything.
Like I said, that doesn't surprise me at all, because that's the way things go there. It's always weird there. So I know the Villisca Axe Murder House is still open as well.
Mm-hmm.
But of course you can only get 6 people in there anyway.
Right.
But you can't really social distance in there with more.
Right.
You could all have one person, maybe 3 people. Maybe your only way to social distance in there. It's such a tiny house. But so are you planning on going back to Malvern anytime soon?
I would like to. I will back when we get to 2021. I will be going back. I'd like to just do another weekend of just us 2 or maybe a couple more people, because it was so overwhelming that night. We were sitting there eating, and I looked over at Joy and I said, "Do you hear that?" And she goes, "Yeah." Because down the same hallway, the gathering room there where the wheelchairs and stuff are, you could hear conversations going on.
Well, I will tell you, Josh has tape of one that David Glidden did there around 12:10 at night or in the morning, that you can hear a full-blown argument. You really can't hear the words, but there's a full-blown argument going on. And they were up in the attic when it happened. Maybe you were hearing the same one.
It was females, and I thought, wow, it was, like I said, you said too, we couldn't make it out, but you could definitely tell it was female. And I mean, we were being, pardon the expression, dead silent.
Right.
And we're looking at each other, like, wow. And I had stuff running in there. And what was really unusual about that is the cameras that I have will rotate 180 degrees, and they'll move up and down, back and forth. They'll track if anything moves in there. When I got home and took the cards out and started downloading the video, the camera that was in there recorded upside down. There is no way possible with my software and everything how that got switched around, because there isn't even anything on there for me to switch that.
Maybe the spirits were on the ceiling.
There was something, because I'm looking at it going, the wheelchair's on the top of the screen. That shouldn't be there. And it recorded that way all night long, which was weird, because it's all on my tablet or on my phone. I can switch from camera to camera and see what's going on. And on the tablet, the camera's right side up. So
that's odd. I know Ron went through the house thinking that he was hearing a man and a woman talk in the hallway. When you get to the top of the stairs, go around and you make a right, and in the old part of the old hotel part. And he went in every room looking for a man and a woman that he heard talking. He couldn't make out what they were saying, but he could hear them talking. And as soon as he would get to a certain room, he wouldn't hear it anymore. So I was talking about you. And so it was really odd. And that's what he's saying. I have heard a male and a female talking, and a male talking in the room next to where Gary and Carl stay in. So that room is the one that's on the other side, with the one with the bed on the bottom floor, if it still has a bed.
Yes,
to the front of the
it does.
house.
Yes.
Yeah, to the front of the house
Yep.
there. And so it's just odd, the things that you get there. And I don't know. It's still an enigma when it comes to Malvern Manor. It's one of those places that we always want to go, but we know if we go, it's going to snow. So, or it's going to be 110. Let's just go with that. It's either 110 or it's going to snow. And there's not even snow in the forecast. Yeah, every time we've been there, there's no snow in the forecast when we go in the winter. And suddenly it's snowing. So we've given it up. So, but so what else are you planning on doing here in the near future? Or what else did you do? You said something about the YMCA.
Yes, I did do a couple events there. One Maddie and I put on, and it was, I've been there so many times, you don't know what to expect anymore, but you know that the place is extremely active. Just the one time because Maddie and I haven't got to do a lot of just us as far as investigating. Wherever we go, we get invited, and there's 35, 40, 50 other people. Mm-hmm. And it was just her dad, Joy, and I. And we were down where the swimming pool used to be. And we're sitting there, and to the right is a hallway. And there's like a double glass doors that you go through. And we're sitting there, and you can hear sounds like silverware is being dropped. Mm-hmm. Pots and pans are being used. Walking back and forth on the floor. Cupboards opening and shutting. There's nothing like that in that hallway. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the four of us are just looking, and then we're asking, is there somebody in there? And are we bothering you? And that's when we heard like the dishes crash.
Oh, wow.
And this went on, I mean, not for just a few seconds. It went on for 25, 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden, it just went dead. The whole place went quiet. We had, no more feelings. And we went floor to floor, and it's just like they all went on vacation or all went to bed. But after that whole episode down there, the place just went absolutely quiet.
Oh.
We didn't get a reading, nothing anywhere in the rest of the building. But I caught all that stuff on audio. So that was, go ahead.
No, they're not shy. I mean,
no. And it's been a long time since I've had the hair on the back of my neck stand up, but I mean, it's reacting to us being there, asking questions and stuff. And it's not like it was just random here and there. It's going on. And the footsteps, and there was I didn't hear any verbalization. None of us did. But as far as the moving of things, like a chair, sound like a chair being pulled out and somebody sitting down. The clank of the silverware sound like somebody turned the faucet on in a sink. And it was just amazing because there was only the four of us there. Lisa wasn't even there.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of the coolest things. I mean, I've had a lot of cool experiences there, but what's made it even more intense, it was, like I said, when it was over, the place just shut down.
You know what? We're going to come back to this.
Okay.
When we get back from the break. You're listening to WBHM-DB.com out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Rex in just a couple minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the World Wide Web of Weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. My guest tonight is Rex Nielson, and he is in All Out Paranormal. And when we left, he was talking about the YMCA there in Iowa. What town is that in again?
That's actually in Illinois. Rock Island. Yep.
Rock Island.
It's
so
just right across the border.
Yeah, that's why I always get it mixed up. I always thought it was Illinois, and it's like, well, you're in Iowa. For some reason, some people don't go across state lines. But again, Illinois has, parts of it are still shut down.
Yes. And
other parts are like just fine. And we went to the McPike Mansion campout, and the only place we had to wear masks was when we went in the cellar. Standing around the campfire and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I probably should have wore a mask around the campfire, but no, we were all outside camping, and I think if police had come by, they might have said something, but like I said, different parts of Illinois are totally different.
Yeah.
In their rules, and so I guess it just depends on who your mayor is.
Yeah, because there was a big event RIP was putting on at they were doing a little expo. It was in October at the YMCA, and they got a hold of me and said, "Hey, we're getting emails and stuff asking if you're going to be there." And they said, "Is it possible you could be there? And we'd like to have you speak from 4 to 5, and it'll be on VidSpace and stuff." I said, "Absolutely." And they said, "Are you sure you got the time?" I said, "Seriously?" I said, "Let me check my calendar." "Oh yeah, I don't work." So
Yeah. Oh,
I was,
and nobody's having events. So
yeah, and it
we
ended up being canceled.
we went to one in Cameron, Missouri on the 21st of November. It was their very first paranormal conference, and we had a great time hanging out with David Glidden and John Long and the CC Paranormal team. And I think for our first try, it was a good try. We had, like I said, we had a great time.
That's fantastic.
That's really all that matters.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time, and will you go back? And it's like, because we
Yeah.
had a good time, we would go back.
Yep.
So
I'm hoping, because the biggest event, well, I was doing, Kansas City, and I was doing Mike Rexecker's Haunted Road media. And
we were going to go
speaking at about half of them. But the one I wanted to do the most, because Maddie and I sold it out, was the Hinsdale.
Right.
We were supposed to go in April, and just as we're, a day before we're supposed to go, Iowa becomes a red state.
Yep.
We can't go. So we rescheduled it for August, and coming down to it, and the same thing happened again. And
so when you say red state, that you guys were just, you guys were a hot state where it was at, and they were going, no, we don't want anybody from Iowa. And I'll tell you, we drove all the way across country this year. We went to Vegas, we went to Alabama, and we didn't let anything stop us, because in our county, there's a less than 1% infection rate in our county.
Right.
Now, Kansas City's up the road, and Overland Park and all that. And yeah, I shop in Overland Park all the time, once a week. And theirs is like 10%. But our county where we live is 1%. I didn't let it hold us back.
Right.
Because you have to go kind of based on where you live. How bad is it where you live? And I've only known a couple people that had it, but not where I live. My kids have been exposed. My daughter's boyfriend's been exposed twice. We haven't had any exposure in our own home, though. I don't know how we couldn't, with Ron being in Walmart all the time for his job.
Right.
And I work from home, so I don't see anybody unless the cats are going to give it to me. But like I said, we let that determine where we go. And we had we were in New Mexico, and they were requiring people to sign in as soon as you walked in the door, you had to sign in, put on gloves and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, put your name on there. I was like, well, they're not asking for my driver's license. I'm Jane Smith. What's your phone number? Whatever my phone number is, I changed 2 numbers in it and put it on there. It's like, how many people do you think did that? Probably most everybody.
Quite a few.
Yeah, I kept coming up with stripper names from Vegas. Where are you from? Oh, I live in Vegas. I'm out of work. Pole dancer. Of course they would probably. Fantasy. My husband's looking at me like, you really? Yes, they like fat girls in some places. I'm overweight right now. Aren't we all? From sitting around the house and doing nothing. In some places where everybody got out, and they weren't social distancing at the lake across the street from my house. It's like everybody was out and about. But then it's funny, you see people driving in their car by themselves with a mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all I can do is, well, I don't point, but I laugh. But you get the point. But it's funny watching people. The other day I went to Target, and I'm walking around outside, and I had the cough, and I had probably dairy products or something. And, a lot of people have to have dairy products to get a little phlegm. And I had this woman look at me like I had tried to kill her. And I was like 40 feet from her. And I was like, I said, this is why I like Walmart. Nobody judges me at Walmart. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm just saying if I don't feel like it's a problem at where I live.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wear my mask when I go in the store. I'm just not wearing it outside.
Right.
Sounds fair, right? So
I do the same thing.
yeah.
I put it
take
on
it
when
off.
I go into someplace, but once I walk out, I'm back outside, I take it off.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to breathe.
Yes.
Especially if you've had, in my case, a collapsed lung. My doctor told me not to wear one, but they won't let me in the store without it.
Yep.
So, except Walmart. Walmart will. They can't say it. They can't do a thing. They won't do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's okay. But, because of this virus, a lot of people missed out on a lot of things that they wanted to do this year. One being these paranormal conferences that we were all looking forward to. Haunted Road Media was one of them. We were planning on going to that. I live in Kansas City. I wasn't going to the Kansas City one, mostly because I was going to be out of town. We always go out of town. But, I was looking forward to going to some of these events this year, and just really sad that they couldn't happen.
Yeah.
What were you going to speak about? Did you already have your speeches all figured out?
It's more like what we're doing now. And people, I tell about, how I got into it and what has happened over the last decade. And then there's a lot of Q&A that comes up and asking me what's in the future for, AOP and my experiences. And I'd rather go off the cuff. I mean, if I had to sit there and one topic, I could do it without writing anything down. That's just me. I have the gift of gab. I don't have a problem talking anywhere at any time. I've never met a stranger, so.
Yeah, at least no one's stranger than yourself. That's
exactly,
what I always say.
And I don't
I've
think
never
there
met anyone
is
stranger
anybody.
than me.
So.
Yeah, I've always told people that even from when I was like 9 years old, my mom would always go, "Beware of strangers." I said, "Well, is there anybody stranger than me?" And she goes, "Well, apparently not." So I want to say hi to Fred. He's in the other chat room. So I hope he's doing well. So, and I know you know Fred.
Yep.
So let me see what my time is here. How did you get involved in the paranormal? I know your son, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's involved in the paranormal deeply as the paranormal nomad. I don't know if he can still call himself. I don't think he can call himself that with Kelly.
No, they've got their Traveler Moon.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yep. They call themselves now. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he does the Paranomad. I don't think he goes by that moniker at all anymore.
No, I don't think so. I know when I met him, he did. And
yes.
And I knew that him and Kelly had gotten together and they made that announcement and I just forgot what it was called. But again, I've been kind of off of Facebook lately with all the work that I've had to do. So I haven't been able to keep caught up with Chris and Kelly. But when I do see them, they look happy. That's what matters.
Yeah.
So
I just, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I went to Cedar Rapids and I took them out for lunch and we spent the afternoon together. And that was fun. It was a short time, but with Christmas coming up, they're going to be coming and spending time for Christmas, and that'll be fun.
It will be.
It's, you don't get to spend any time with anybody because of this whole COVID thing. And you got to have interaction. You got to have physical interaction,
Yeah. Even if it's from a distance.
Exactly.
So, is Iowa trying to limit your Christmas events? Suggesting?
Not that they're suggesting. I know the town I live in, Oline, last weekend was the Christmas Oline thing that they have every year. And heck, they even had fireworks.
Oh, well, that sounds like it was fun.
Yeah. We were sitting there in the bedroom and I'm going, shh, be quiet. Do you hear that? Because at first it sounded like gunshots going off. I'm all going, oh, great. And then I got up and looked out the front door and I could see all the fireworks going off. I didn't even know they were going to have it.
Right.
But yeah, they still had their, what do they call it? Christmas on the hub, because Oline's known as the hub of Iowa. This is where the whole town used to be a huge like train depot. All the trains would come through here and connect and reconnect, and so they called it the hub of Iowa.
I have never been there, so I don't even know where it is in Iowa.
It's not very big. It's northeast Iowa. It's towards Decorah and going towards Minnesota.
Oh, so have you already had your first snow?
Oh yeah. I had gotten bed and breakfast for Joy and I over the weekend to get away, and we've been there before. It's an awesome place in Dubuque called the Richards House, and I've stayed there a few times before. Joy and I had gone when there was events up there. I'd stay there because it was cheaper than a hotel.
Right.
And you got a better breakfast than you did in a hotel. So she needed to get away, and we left Friday in the middle of a snowstorm, and what should have took us a little over an hour took us about an hour and 50 minutes, almost 2 hours to get there. And we got up the next morning because we didn't get there till 7:00 Friday night. We got up the next morning and it was still snowing, and there had to be at least 8 inches of snow on the ground.
Oh, yeah. My previous boss was in Iowa or in Illinois, Minnesota. Darn it, can't even get my right state. And so every time we'd have a meeting, I always say something to him about the snow, and he'd go, we're not supposed to get snow. And he'd call me a couple days later and he goes, I got snow. I said, well, I usually know when you're going to get snow. I said, I don't just say it to say it. And he goes, I thought you were just making conversation. I was like, I mean, it's been in May. I've said something to him about snow, and lo and behold, they got snow. So he doesn't like hearing me even talk about it anymore. But was this bed and breakfast that you stayed at, was it haunted as well?
I've talked to the owners about it, and they said that nobody has ever said that they've had an experience or anything. And I thought about taking equipment, but then I'm going, you know what? The whole idea was to go get away and relax and not stress out about anything. And so I didn't take any equipment. But
Okay.
We'll go back again. It's extremely reasonable. The people are amazing. And there's a lot of stuff to do in Dubuque. And it's not that far away for us to drive. I mean, a little over an hour and we're there. It's like 72 miles from Oline. So,
even though you didn't bring equipment, did you happen to have any paranormal experiences while you're there that you can recall?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very, to me, it's very, what do I say? Very accepting, very calm, very inviting. The feeling that you get from because Mr. Richards is the one that built the house.
Mm-hmm.
And, and they're fixing it up to what it was originally was like. And I think that's from what I get, and then from what Joy gets, is they're very pleased with the way it's been handled and bringing back the originality to everything, because the beautiful fireplaces that were in it had been put false facades on the front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they took them off, and the tile work and stuff around the fireplaces like tell a story, like from a childhood fable and stuff. Each fireplace had this, and it had all been covered up. And like I said, it's very inviting, very comfortable, and very relaxing to be there. And I feel like they're walking around and being with you.
Okay.
And like sitting with you when you have your breakfast, and when you're sitting there reading a book, or I always take my stuff and I draw.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'll go downstairs in the big common area and I'll sit down there and draw, and it feels like somebody is sitting next to me or across from me, enjoying what I'm doing and wondering what I'm doing.
Well, it sounds like a really neat place to go, and a place just to get away from it all for a short period of time, and not too far away, as long as it's not snowing.
Yeah, because I'm going, it kept getting worse and worse as we kept getting closer to Dubuque. And I'm so glad I own two Hondas, and they're both four-wheel drives. So, because people not driving for the conditions, I'll tell you that.
No, they don't get it. Sometimes they just think, hey, I want to be out and about, and I got a four-wheel drive. I can drive through anything. Not on ice. Ice is ice.
And a mile down the road, you see them sitting in the ditch, and you're still going.
Yep. Been there, done that. So we are at our next break. So if you guys have any questions, please ask them in either one of the chat rooms, and I will make sure they get asked. But you're listening to WBHM-DB.com out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we'll be back very soon.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Rex Nielson from All Out Paranormal, and we are having a great time. I hope you are too. And Fred says hi, Rex. And
hi, Fred.
So here we go. We got some questions for you in the chat.
Sure.
The first one: what is your favorite equipment?
That's easy. Myself. your, like I tell everybody, your best tool and best piece of equipment is your body. I don't think there's anything that can compare to it, because like I tell people, when you go on it, go into an area and just sit there, close your eyes, and you'll be amazed on how in tune you become with your surroundings and what's there. Because you're going to get whether it's a hair on the back of your neck or some sort of sensation or being touched or being watched. Truly, that's the best piece of equipment I could think of. And it even gets more and more as long as I've done this, going on a decade and going into my second decade. It's the first thing I do. I don't take anything in. I just go and feel the house, and whether you believe this or not, the house speaks to you, and what's in there. And I can tell which area I'm going to go to first, which one I'm going to spend the most time with, and what equipment I will be taking with me when I go in, whether it be X, Y, and Z or just, a recorder. But yeah, to answer a question, I would tell that's mine. And when I give a lecture or anything, I tell them that the best piece of equipment you have or can get is yourself.
Well, that I can see that. That's always Ron always says that his favorite piece of equipment is me, but that's a whole different problem. So, and Gary is the one who asked that question from the Caldwell County Paranormal team. He also asked, and have you ever used dowsing rods?
I have not personally, but I've had people that have gone with me on investigations and used them. It's interesting to see how they work.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, I think it's just an extension of your body, which is a neat part of using the dowsing rods. Like I said, I've only seen it a couple of times, but it's interesting to watch how they react.
Right.
But as far as personally using it, no, I have not.
Okay. Well, I tell everybody this. I have a collection of them, and I enjoy showing people how to use them. And then I tend to not use them. I'll show them how to use them, and then I won't use them. And it's not intentional. It's just I already know the answer before I ask. So I'd much rather somebody else be holding them. And when I say that this is what they're going to say, or as it's dark, I can't see them, and I answer the question, they go, "You can't even see this," and that's what it said. It's just the way that it is. So, you had also said that you went to a castle.
Yes, I went to Stronghold Castle in Oregon, Illinois. Interesting place. I was invited by a couple other teams, and we spent the night there. It was different. Did they hear the history behind it?
Mm-hmm.
It was a newspaper baron that had built this home that was an exact replica of a castle he's seen in England. And this newspaper baron, had actually bought the Chicago Tribune.
Oh.
And became very good friends with Al Capone and some of the other gangsters. And there's actually secret rooms and passages in there for when Al Capone and his entourage would show up. If there was a raid, they could get away.
Okay, that makes sense.
There was even a room behind the bookcase, which when you went into it, it was where the mobsters could have church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see and hear the history of it, I had some. I took off and went by myself. There was a lot of other people there, but it was a big place, and I had some real interesting. Before any of the investigation started, I had some personal experiences. I was sitting in the entryway in this big high back chair, and there was a big buffet that was there with pictures of the family, and all of a sudden it sounded like the drawers were opening and shutting on the front of this thing, and they were somebody rifling through the drawers, but no drawers were opening and shutting on it. And I'm sitting right next to it because what got my attention at first, it started to shake.
Yeah.
And this thing is probably 8 foot long, and it started to shake, and I turned and looked, and all this noise is going on, like they're opening up looking for something, and they'd slam the drawer, but the drawers weren't opening and shutting on it.
That's weird.
That was right at the beginning when they were giving us a tour and giving us a history of the house.
It's always amazing the things that happen when you're not expecting it.
Yeah, I had no equipment or anything, just, enjoying myself and learning the history of it. And I'm like, of course. I'm sitting there and I'm going, well, it's at least, personal experiences are even though you don't have any equipment or anything, you've got it. It's ingrained in you forever.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have that memory. It's like, I'll make a quick story out of this. When I lived on the East Coast, I was a school teacher and a nanny, and I was in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I was down on Greenwich Boulevard buying last minute Christmas presents because I was flying out Christmas Eve to come back to Iowa. And as I'm walking down the street, there was a little jewelry store I used to go into because back in the day, Greta Garbo and all the big names from the 30s, 40s, and 50s all went in there and had jewelry and stuff made. They had autographed pictures all over the walls. And I always go in there because I wanted to hear the stories about, Cary Grant and everybody else. Well, as I'm walking to go into the store, there's this little woman looking in the front window. And I walked by her and she goes, "Isn't that just the most beautiful necklace you've ever seen?" I turned and looked and it was Betty Davis.
Oh.
And I looked at her and I go, "Oh my God, Miss Davis, I absolutely love you. I've seen everything you've ever done." She goes, she swore like a drunken sailor.
Yeah.
And smoked like a freight train. I won't say what she said, but she goes,
well, she also has a dirty mouth, so.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
And I said, I said, your first movie, you played a whore.
Yeah.
Of Human Bondage was her first movie. She goes, "You know that movie?" I said, "I own it." And I walked arm in arm with Betty Davis up and down Greenwich Avenue for over 2 hours shopping with this woman. And when we got done, went back to her limousine because I knew she lived in Greenwich, Connecticut. I knew where her house was.
Mm-hmm.
And she got back in the car and she hugged me and kissed me, and I helped her back in the car and she took off. And of course, I didn't even get any shopping done. I went back home to tell everybody.
Of course.
And everybody goes, "Well, did you get her autograph or anything?" And I said, I thought about it, but I really would have felt awkward because she didn't have to spend the last 2 hours with me.
Right.
Walking around and having that time. And that led into, your personal experiences. Yep. Sometimes you just don't need the equipment just to have that personal experience. It's a one-on-one. So that's why I brought that up. Anyway.
Well, yeah. When it comes right down to it, like you said, she didn't have to spend those 2 hours with you.
No.
That autograph means nothing because you're going to have this in your mind. Every time you see that movie, you're going to remember, maybe not the movie, but the time you spent with her, that's much more precious than a piece of paper that you could lose.
Yeah, because it was about 2.5 months later she was gone. Because
Yeah.
she just finished the movie The Whales of August. And as I believe, because I met her in December, and February the following year she was gone.
Mm.
So I'd always loved Betty Davis, and I just blew my mind that, I'm 6'7" and 300 pounds, and she's 4 foot nothing and 70 pounds soaking wet. And it was funny to watch the reaction from people, us walking arm in arm up and down, Greenwich Avenue.
Yeah, and most likely she was drunk, but whole different problem.
She was well on her way, and man, talk about somebody could smoke a cigarette. Wow.
Well, in one drag. I mean, I
Yes.
saw her do it in the movies that she was in. I was like, huh. It makes I always said my mom smoked like a chimney. Well, that's what she did too.
Yes,
she smoked
did.
like she had bellows. I'm like, but again, this is a memory that you're going to have forever and ever, and it means much more than that piece of paper.
Exactly, just like the personal experiences. I mean, I've had some amazing personal experiences where I'm going, I don't need a picture or an EVP to validate what I just got to experience. It was a personal one-on-one experience.
Right.
And that's, like I said, I had a 2 or 3 of them before I even got any equipment out that night. Neat place, really neat place.
Like I said, the castle sounds wonderful, and your memories in Connecticut sound very nice. So what years were you a teacher?
Oh my gosh, you're going to ask me that, aren't you? I graduated high school in '84. I graduated from the University of Northern Iowa in '88, and I flew out to Connecticut and was a full-time substitute teacher and a nanny. So it was 1988 when I was out there. And the full-time substitute, which was nice because the young man that I was a nanny for, I was a full-time substitute at his school.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take him to school and then bring him home with me. And I was at the school every day, whether they needed a substitute or not. So I was there. I would be an aide for one of the teachers, or if one of the teachers was gone, of course, I filled in for him. Most of the time I did TESOL, which was teaching English as a second language when I was there.
That could be interesting.
It was very interesting because, being that close to New York, most of the children that I worked with were Japanese or Chinese. And
that's unusual.
Smart.
I grew up
they picked up English.
Yeah, I lived in New Jersey a lot, during,
Mm-hmm.
and we had English as a second language teachers in our schools, but it was mostly because we had a lot of Puerto Rican kids that didn't speak hardly any English at all. And and we also had some Italian kids that spoke really bad English that were in there too. But I don't remember too many different languages back then, and people go, what do Puerto Ricans speak? And I go, I guess, Spanish. I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I was 6-7 years old. Why would I know?
Right. And
by the time I got to know them, they could speak English. So somebody asked me, what do Puerto Ricans speak? I said, English. So it was just the way that it was, where, because kids pick it up pretty quick.
Right.
Their parents, on the other hand, didn't. That was the problem. When you'd be visiting their house, their parents would be talking to them in their first language, and you'd be going, what did she just say? Am I in trouble?
Yeah.
Because they always sound like they were yelling, and they weren't yelling.
Yes.
They were just loud. They always sounded mad. Same as, a lot of Chinese people. their word, they always sound mad, but they're smiling as they're saying it. So you're going, okay.
Yes.
So I don't know. I just remember a lot of that. But you know what? We're at the top of the hour break. You're listening to WBHM-DB.com. We will be back with Rex in just a few minutes. So enjoy the news or go get a drink and enjoy it more. So we'll see you soon.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Bank of America. With the Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping. The essentials have never felt more rewarding. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding to apply now. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
Live from NPR News, I'm Jack Speer. President-elect Joe Biden is scheduled to address the nation later this hour. NPR's Windsor Johnston reports his remarks come after members of the Electoral College cast their ballots today in his favor, pushing Biden past the 270 threshold to win the White House.
The Biden transition team says tonight's address will focus on the Electoral College vote certification and the strength and resilience of the nation's democracy. Members of the Electoral College in all 50 states and the District of Columbia are wrapping up today's vote, a formality that has taken on added importance this year because of President Trump's refusal to concede the race. The president has also lost a string of lawsuits challenging the election, including a Supreme Court case that sought to extend today's deadline for the Electoral College to meet and block elections in key swing states from voting. Windsor Johnston, NPR News.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court became the latest body to reject President Trump's arguments the election was stolen from him and the results should be overturned, ruling today ending the president's legal challenges in state court. Trump had sought to have 221,000 ballots in 2 Wisconsin counties disqualified. Legal action came hours before the state's electors were set to cast Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes for Democrat Joe Biden. A federal judge over the weekend dismissed the lawsuit, asking the court to order the GOP-controlled state legislature to declare Trump the winner in the state. The Federal Trade Commission is ordering Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, and 6 other tech firms to reveal what kind of data they've collected on Americans. NPR's Bobby Allen reports it's the latest move among regulators in Washington to put pressure on big tech.
Sacrificing the privacy of your personal data, it's often said, is the price we pay for free social media. Now the FTC is demanding tech companies to turn over documents showing exactly how that data gets used. The request is particularly aimed at how Amazon, Facebook, and Twitter determine what ads are shown to consumers and how personal information is fed into algorithms that shape what people see on social media every day. The sweeping order also includes TikTok, Snapchat, WhatsApp, and Reddit. Law enforcement officials and regulators have grown increasingly hostile to tech companies. Google and Facebook are now facing federal lawsuits, alleging the companies abuse their power and operate like monopolies. Bobby Allen, NPR News, San Francisco.
Amid news of a major hack involving U.S. government agencies, other governments and major corporations worldwide are scrambling to see if they too may have been victims. Hack penetrated multiple U.S. government agencies and involved a common software product used by thousands of organizations. Russia, the prime suspect, has denied any involvement. Stocks closed mostly lower today amid concerns over a coronavirus relief measure and soaring COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. The Dow down 184 points today. This is NPR. Canada has begun administering the country's first doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. Emma Jacobs has more from Montreal.
Federal Health Minister Patty Hajdu appeared outside the Maimonides Geriatric Center in Montreal with newly vaccinated 78-year-old Gloria Laluz. Hajdu said that today, Canadians can see the beginning of an end to the pandemic.
I felt emotional because I know how worried and anxious families and healthcare workers are all across the country.
The Canadian government says it could receive up to 249,000 doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine by the end of the year, the first steps towards vaccinating a population of 37 million people. For NPR News, I'm Emma Jacobs in Montreal.
British health officials say the city of London and surrounding areas will be placed under the highest levels of restrictions beginning later this week. British Health Secretary Matt Hancock saying today the government in the country's capital needs to take swift action at a time cases in the greater London area have been doubling every 7 days. Hancock says officials there have also notified a new variant or have identified a new variant of the coronavirus they say may be associated with a faster spread in the south of England. Early in-person voting has begun in Georgia's 2 U.S. Senate runoffs, the early voting period running through December 31st in some counties. It could determine the outcome of the races between Republican U.S. Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler and Democratic challengers John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Majority of votes before the November 3rd general election were cast in person during early voting. I'm Jack Spear, NPR News.
This message comes from NPR sponsor GoFundMe. This holiday season, GoFundMe is introducing 5 causes to bring people together around a central need and experience the joy of giving. Donations support both urgent aid and long-term relief. Visit GoFundMe to learn more.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Rex Neilson. Rick,
Ow.
Rick. Wow, there you go. Woo, we're going back a little ways in time. So Rex Neilson with All In Paranormal, and we've talked about a lot of different things. All Out Paranormal. Hey, we're all in. So we got all kinds of stuff. Here we go. Susan Roberts asks, years ago, we went to Lemp Mansion. I got my first picture of a whole body apparition, plain as day, and a picture of someone we think was Charles Lemp next to my sister. In a picture I took in a big mirror is where she got that picture at. No one else was in the room. I had the pictures on a photo stick, my laptop, my sister's computer, and her external hard drive. When I tried to retrieve them to send them to the lady that did the tours there, every pic had disappeared. Couldn't find them on any equipment we had them on. Have you ever experienced anything like this?
Thank goodness, no. Knock on wood, not so far. Because one of the biggest things doing this and doing the investigation and doing the paranormal as much as I've done it is my spirit photography, which I've given lectures and classes on. I rely on that because I've caught so much over the years, and I've had people professionally even have them looked at. Oh, this isn't real. Well, okay, here, sign the waiver and you can have it tested yourself. Thank goodness, no. I have lost audio, which now, even before I go over it, I will transfer it onto a hard drive and I will transfer it onto a CD.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even start, actually listening to it to see if I've gotten any EVPs. But that's tough that you'd have that type of evidence and then it to be gone, whether it's something paranormal or supernatural, who's to say, but man, that would be tough. Because like I said, the spirit photography and the stuff that I've caught over the years is I've been blessed. I've caught some, and me and the boys have caught some amazing stuff over the years. And oh wow, I feel so sorry for her. I wish there was something I could do, but no, unfortunately, I've never experienced that, and I hope I never do, and I hope she never does ever again either. Especially being her first, outing, and to catch that paranormal, that evidence, and then it just to be gone. Man, what a heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, it is when you lose stuff that's important to us. So, especially when we want to share it, that makes it even more frustrating. So, I'm going to make sure there's no other. She says it sucked because they were awesome pictures. Well, Susan, we missed out on pictures on Saturday. Just saying. We didn't get any pictures. There's no proof of what happened Saturday at this point. We had a meetup in Springfield, Missouri.
Mhm.
And this was the first time where we didn't take any pictures. So it was weird to have a meetup and not one picture was taken.
That I don't think I could do that. To tell you the
Well,
truth, that would be.
The restaurant really didn't social distance. You know how in most restaurants you got 8 feet between tables and stuff. The
Right.
backs of everybody's chairs were touching the backs of everybody else's chairs.
Ah.
So there was if I wasn't sitting in the aisle, there'd have been no social distancing between me and the table next to us. So it's probably best we probably kept the restaurant from getting in trouble.
Right.
So it was a interesting night. So we had a lot of fun, and she thought about that later. So we all did. We all thought about it later. But okay. So we talked about some of the things you plan on doing. Have you been asked to participate in any events in 2021?
Right now, the Riverside, Iowa Paranormal RIP, we've rescheduled. They want me to come back for the one that we were supposed to do in October to have me speak and be a part of the event. We've rescheduled that for March 30th.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing so far. I think a lot of people are just waiting to see, what January and February has to offer of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, well, I'm still doing the Hinsdale House in August of 2021.
Okay.
So, and
before school starts?
Yes.
Okay. And just in case those asking, it's not because he goes to school, it's because Madison does, and she's planning.
Correct.
Isn't she a speaker at that event?
Yes. Each of us, because we sold it out both times when we rescheduled it, Maddie Maddie's will be speaking. I will be, and of course Daniel will be, and each one of us will have our own group throughout the night.
Mm-hmm.
That we will, take around and share experiences and greet them to an amazing place, which I've never been to yet, but I can't wait. Man, I hope it goes through because it's been a long time coming. It's one of the places even before I met Daniel and became good friends with him. That is some place that I always wanted to go.
Right.
You'd read stories about it and everything else, and now wow, I'm personal friends with the guy that owns the place.
Right.
And once the event's over that night, we're staying the night in the house.
Right.
So we'll be staying all night there, which is even more exciting because I'll just leave like everything running the entire night when we finally call it a night. So and there's other places we're going to go far enough in advance where we'll be able to visit some other places while we're there. It just won't be a hop, skip, and a jump. We're going to make it a full week-long drive down there and spend time and take time coming back.
Yeah, you definitely need to spend some time at the falls.
Yes.
And quite possibly go to Buffalo, go to the Statler.
Mm-hmm.
Since Daniel's got an in there.
And then the sanatorium that's just
mm-hmm.
down from him. Wow, not
I know which one you're talking about. It's not Summer Wind, but yeah, I know which one you're talking about. He talked about it when he was on my show. It's been so long ago. It seems like it's probably been 2 years since he's been on my show. So
yeah, because he said definitely, it's, I don't know, I think like 1.5 miles, 2 miles down from Hinsdale. And he was like, when you're here, do you want to go? Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to get me in there, yeah, I'm going to go. I mean, that's how it goes, right?
Exactly. That's like, I was going to head to Colorado this year in November. I'm fortunate to have a cousin in Canyon City, Colorado, who works for the city in a realtor company. And she knows the owner of the St. Cloud Hotel and the Peabody Mansion.
I know about the Peabody Mansion. Because the Peabody Mansion, isn't it the one that's in Denver?
Yes.
Okay, because I've been there.
And he wants me to come investigate the hotel and the Peabody Mansion. And then, of course, it didn't happen this year. And I just talked to her the other day, and I said, I'm shooting for April to come out there. And I said, if Joy can't come with me, I'll probably just fly.
Right.
Especially since tickets are so cheap. And
that's going to depend.
I don't have yeah, exactly. If not, I mean, I've driven out there before. It's no big deal. But it's been quite a while since I've been out there. It's been 7 years was the last time I was out there. But she also informed me that now they have 4 or 5 other historical properties that they want me to come investigate when I'm out there.
There's quite a few out there. Probably within a mile of the Peabody Mansion. I'd say 12 that I know of. And,
I'm a one-man band now, so I'm just so excited to be, I'm being invited by this guy personally that owns these properties to come to Colorado and just to go in and set up my equipment and get to investigate it alone.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some really good places there. The only bad part is that Denver's still shut down.
Yeah, it is.
My cousin lives there, and our headquarters is in Denver. So our technicians can't even go to the sites. They have to even take their trucks home. Everything's still that shut down there. So it's odd. We'll just say that.
Right.
But it's a beautiful place. The Croak Patterson house is great. It's like $245 a night for their Airbnb, for their bed and breakfast.
Right.
And I remember when they were just getting it, they just bought it when I was there and were working on it. So the red brick is just beautiful. So like I said, I know the area well enough to know, hey, there's all these places. Just go a couple miles over and you're in Cheeseman Park. And that has an eclectic history, but it seems like every town has a graveyard story where all the bodies didn't get moved. So it makes you start wondering which ones are true and which ones are false.
Right.
But that one was in the paper. It was actually in the paper. So that one's true. But, it's strange how many tours you go on that people will say that. And then if you research it, you find out that's not true.
Yeah. And that's happened quite a bit. Because when I get notified about something, I'll go, okay, I always tell them, I'll check out the history of it and they come to find out like, wow, none of that's true.
So,
which has only happened on a couple occasions, but it's going to happen.
It is. They all get a little bit excited and go, oh, we got a tour. We're going to, here's a graveyard here. I wonder, and how many people are going to buy it? Anybody on the tour?
Yeah.
So they'll buy it at least once. And then afterwards, well, guess what? But I do have some questions for you in the chat room. and I will ask those when we get back from break. So
Alrighty.
you're listening to WBHM-DB.com out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Rex Nielson in just a couple minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the World Wide Web of Weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
And welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Rex Nielson with All Out Paranormal. So you got it right that time. And
yes.
Sherry asks a question. She says, has Rex or any of his team, I guess your children at this point, ever had an attachment?
Yes. Yep.
Can you elaborate? No, I'm just being.
Yes and no. It's something that happened very early on when we first started investigating. All I can tell you, it was a very frightening experience, and it was my fault. I take complete blame for it because we didn't follow our protocol and how we start our investigation and how we handle ourselves. We were kind of mentoring and took another group under our wing, and we kind of just threw everything out the window, and it happened. It's only been the one time where it was an attachment, and it was frightening. It was really frightening to see one of my boys going through this, and it was a long-term effect from it. Of course, everything's better now, but yes, and it's a real thing. I tell everybody, if I'm doing an event or if I'm hosting an investigation or whatever, this is the coolest thing that you're ever going to do, but it's not an amusement park ride. This is serious stuff. People can get hurt. You can get an attachment. You're messing with something that you can't see. And for you to open yourself up and make light of it or whatever, things are going to happen. And I stress that before we ever go. You come to us, we're the professionals, and there are things that you need to listen to when you do this. And if you do, you're going to have an amazing time and amazing experiences. But I want everybody to go home the same way as they came. And like I said, that the attachment that happened was my fault. I knew better than what I was doing, and I've never swayed from it since then. I do everything the way we've always done it. So, yes, I guess I turned that simple yes into the Reader's Digest version.
Well, that's all good. I mean, it's sometimes. Is there a way that you can suggest that people don't get attachments when they're out and about?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you believe in. If you're religious or spiritual or whatever, another one of the things that we've tagged is, ghosts are people too. When you go in, you're in their environment. Say we start everything the same way. Hello, I'm Rex. I'm not here to hurt or harm you. We'd love to visit with you and hear your story. If you'd like to speak with us or move something or use our energy to let your presence be known, we'd love to hear that. And we always say, when we leave, you have to stay here. You can't come with us. Hopefully we'll be back again. Thank you for everything you've done for us and let us, into your home or your business. But you must stay here. You cannot come with us. And that's the simplest thing I can tell you. I mean, treat them just like, you've got somebody in your house. If you yell and scream at a spirit, you're going to get adverse effects because you don't want anybody yelling and screaming at you. You're not going to laugh it off. You're going to get upset as well. So that's where the whole thing, ghosts are people too, has come from, and it's worked well. Right. I mean, there may be other people that do different things, but it's just a simple thing. Thank you for letting us here, but you need to stay here, and hopefully we'll be back. And it's been all good since then.
Is there, devil's advocate here, which have to bring demons into everything. What if that doesn't work?
It has, and this would be the first time I've actually publicly said this. I can tell when somebody has an attachment, and this all came about a few years ago. Chris and I just got done speaking, and we actually had so many people it spilled out into the hallway. And we were walking back to our table, and this lady tapped me on the shoulder, and she goes, "You can help me." And I looked at her and I said, "I'm sorry, what?" She goes, "You can help me." And I said, I'm not understanding what you're asking me. Help you do what? And I knew what she was talking about, but like I said, I don't publicly put it out there because people have always sought me out for this. And she goes, "I have an attachment, and when I was listening to you, it was overwhelming. It came to me that you were the one that could help me." And so she followed us back, and of course we got back to our table, and there was like 50 people around it. And Chris started answering questions and stuff, and I took her to the behind the table and had her sit, and I talked with her, and I went ahead because she was so emotional over the whole thing. I I went ahead and cleared the attachment she had. And to this day, I still get emails and stuff from her every once in a while saying, thank you so much for what you did. My whole life has been different. And actually, that day, I ended up clearing like 8 different people that had come up to the table. But like I said, I ignored it for the longest time. But the more I was out and experiencing the paranormal and the supernatural, I couldn't deny it any longer. And I can, and I can tell you whether the attachment is good or bad.
Right.
And I can tell you what they look like. A lot of times I can tell you their names, whether they're related or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does happen. And I've had people actually contact me. Hey, I've got an uncle that we know he's got an attachment and it's just ruining him and everybody else around him. And, and it's funny because, like I said, I've never made this public. I don't promote it. It's a gift. And I've till recently, just in the last 3 or 4 years, I've accepted it. So.
Well, it was like at the event that we went to earlier in Cameron, Missouri, the Cameron Paracon, somebody asked me if I would read them. And I did. Actually, I did a few. And it was because earlier, a couple weeks before that, I'd saw something on a remote feed. And I spoke up. Usually I don't. I just sit there and go, okay, whatever. This is what I saw, and I don't even tell anybody. I just say, okay, whatever, and walk away. Because nobody wants to hear what I got to say. And so we couldn't be there at the event that they had that night, so we decided to watch on the feed. And so I spoke up and said, this is what I'm seeing. And the thing is the people that were investigating couldn't hear me. But the person that was doing the feed could hear me. So you could hear everybody else. They just couldn't hear me because he had on a headset. So I ended up being right on some of the things that I said, and which was nice. Later on in that week, it was a week later, there was an event at a bar, and I had said that I saw this guy walking across the stage and that he said that this was his favorite place to be. I didn't know if it was on stage or in the bar. Okay. Didn't know. He just said that it was his favorite place to be. Did not know that the drummer from the band that was on stage at the time that was playing acoustic. So I did not know that they even had a drummer. died a week before.
Oh, wow.
Or the day before, something like that. It was just, I didn't know the band or anything. So, but the odds of me saying, and I described him, what I saw, and it ended up being their drummer. So am I going to start telling people I'm a medium? Nope. I'm still going to tell them I'm a large. I'm not going to take, I can't take it serious just because I've been right sometimes doesn't mean that I feel comfortable with telling people I'm a medium, because I'm not.
Exactly.
So I understand where you're coming from, because some things just aren't meant for me to share with everyone.
Right.
And what happens if I don't see something when somebody asks?
Yeah.
Besides me saying I don't see anything. Or what if I'm just not in the mood? I guess I can say no, just like I do on other things. Just say no. I can't. But it's hard. How do you feel about like clearing attachments from family members? Is that harder or easier? Because I know for me, reading a family member, I don't know how right I am, because I know way too much about them.
I have not cleared per se a family member so far. My family doesn't know about what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe that if there's a time and a place, they'll either approach me or I will have to say something about it. But as of right now, I don't know how I would do it. I mean, that's a tough thing to do.
It is. And I don't know how I know that these are two different things, but they're so similar.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, like in your case, to remove something from a family member, it may be so subtle around you that you would never even notice that they have an attachment.
Right.
Me, I wouldn't know if the spirits that I'm seeing are with me or with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see them so often. If I see the same ones, do I just assume that they're with me? I don't know. So
right.
It's one of those things that I just always wonder about. So, but I do have another question for you in the chat room. This one's is from Gary. He asks, have you investigated cemeteries?
Yes. Actually,
any good ones?
When we went to Pennsylvania we went and did the Civil War cemeteries when we were there. That was our dead end road trip where we went around and did that. But there was one summer, that's all that AOP did. We just went to cemeteries, and it didn't matter what time of day we were there, because of course you're not supposed to be in there after dark. You get in trouble. But being in my county and working for the sheriff's department, I wasn't too worried if I got caught.
Right.
I shouldn't say that. I mean, I wasn't using my status to get myself out of trouble, but I knew if they showed up, they would have just said, hey, come on, Rex, you know better than to be here, move on. But that's all we did one summer. And we didn't go to anything at that time, anything big and known. We have since then. But wow, what an amazing experience to, go from these little bitty graveyards to, some of them that we went to were, 5 and 6 football lengths big. And the different experiences and the different spirit photography we caught and the EVPs, it was just phenomenal. It was a lot of fun.
One of the things that I've noticed with cemeteries now, they all have nightlights.
Mm-hmm.
And it's annoying.
It is.
I mean, if we're not supposed to be in the cemetery after dark, why do we have a nightlight in there?
Mm-hmm.
It does. I mean, and they're built into a lot of the stones now.
Yep.
And I just, it's back when we first started going, it was like, well, that's interesting. Now it's just annoying, because you're looking for something, and I guess the only thing you can use it for is for distance, I guess. But then you always have that one person that goes, you see that blue orb in your picture? I'm like, it's a nightlight.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, when you drive by the cemetery and you see that, you're going, well, what good is that? Mm-hmm. So, and because we have one that's, probably half a mile up the road from us, old Catholic cemetery, that they're still burying people, and there's not too many open graves. And then we have a Civil War cemetery here in Lewisburg, and the new part has all those lights, but the new part or the old part doesn't. Like I said, it's just kind of weird. It takes away from the not the creepy feel, because I don't find cemeteries creepy, and you probably don't either.
No, I don't either.
I find them to be amazing and have wonderful stories. They also have some sad stories, but if you're in a graveyard, make sure you have some internet with you so that you can look up Find a Grave and find those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because some are amazing, and but I just don't get the light. I mean, they're dead; they can't see it.
Yeah.
I guess I just have common sense. I don't know. So Ron, you're not getting a night light on your tombstone. So be aware. So I know where you're at.
You asked me earlier on, and we got away from it. What got me started in the paranormal, and we never did get onto that question. Do you want me to answer that now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. It personally happened to me when I was between the ages of 4 and 5. We lived in a house in Raleigh, Iowa, and my bedroom and my sister's bedroom was upstairs. My parents' bedroom was downstairs, and in my room, I had a closet where it had 3 stairs that just went up and into the wall and disappeared. And that bothered me because I'm going, why? What's behind there? And I never really was comfortable in that room. To make a long story short, Dad had started remodeling the downstairs, adding on another like a 3-season room, and stuff started happening. And I had this, and the only way to describe it is I called them the bad ones, being so young. And I've actually drawn pictures of what I've seen, and they were like these vaporous apparitions in front of me, and all I could see was an outline, and it was like smoke. And all I could see was these 2 hollow points where their eyes are supposed to be. They would speak to me. I could hear them in my head. And they would tell me the most awful, disgusting, horrible things to do. And to this day, I've never spoke a word of what they told me. And I won't. And I would ignore them, and it would irritate them. But being that little, what does everybody do? You cover up with a blanket. It makes everything go away. You're safe.
If you can't see it, it's not there.
It doesn't exist. And this went on for a couple of years. Every night they would appear, and they would always want me to get off of the bed and go underneath the bed. And I would not. Well, one afternoon I'd gone shopping with my mother, and I got to buy some Hot Wheels. And that night I had them all lined up on my dresser that was across the room. I had a big room. It was probably 10 by 12. And the dresser was clear on the other side of the room away from my bed. Well, of course, the bad ones showed up, and they were extremely irritated because I was not listening. I was not paying any attention. And they became more irate with me. And then all of a sudden, the Hot Wheels started shooting off the dresser towards me. And we're talking 10 feet away. Then all of a sudden, it's like they hit an invisible wall and fell to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
None of them ever reached me. And that's when I call them the good ones, showed up at the foot of my bed. I could see just the outline of them. And I could tell they were from like the 1800s. He had a bowler on, and you could tell he had a cane, and he was like in a suit, and she had her hair up in a bun. I could tell she had a big dress on with a bustle, and they were always there to protect me from the bad ones. This went on until we moved to Oregon when I was 8 years old.
Okay, can we stop right there?
Sure,
Remember, Oregon, 8 years old. You're listening to WBHM-DB.com out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Rick Neilson. Rex Neilson. I got Rick on the brain. And we were talking about when you were 8 years old when we left.
Yes. We left Iowa when I was 8. We moved to Oregon, and the entities never followed until about 3 or 4 years ago. I was in my bedroom and I was reading, and all of a sudden this brilliant yellowish gold light appeared behind my book. And so I lowered the book and I'm looking, and these two figures emerged out of this light at the end of my bed, and it was the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking 50 years later.
Wow.
I have not seen the good ones, but this time I could see them as plain as if you were standing in front of me. I could make out.
Nice and solid, huh?
Yes. And he had a handlebar mustache. He had a bowler on. He had spats on. He had a cane. He had a pinstripe suit with the high collar. She had a big, beautiful royal blue dress on with lace, and she had her hair up in a bun and a big bustle. And I knew exactly who they were, even, without actually seeing what they looked like until now. And they just stood there in front of me and they smiled. And I was so overwhelmed with love and compassion. And I just sat there and looked, and it went on for, I don't know, a minute or so. And they both reached down. Each one of them touched one of my legs, and they looked at me and both spoke and said, "Don't worry, we will always be there for you." And then they just kind of, like them entering into my room in the light, they just kind of faded back into the light and were gone.
Huh.
So, it's come full circle. This happening between 4 and 5 years of age is what got me into it. And I've always been interested since then. But, amazing the stuff that I went through for a couple of years as such a small child. And of course, when you tell your parents, "Oh, it's nothing, you had a nightmare, shut up, go back to bed."
Or you're imagining it or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And then to solidify this for me, almost 50 years later, them appearing to me as plain as day and speaking to me and actually physically touching me and telling me that don't worry, we'll always be there for you. Do I know who these people are? No. I don't recognize them. I could draw you a picture.
Mm-hmm.
They look like, but I've showed it to family members, and it's nobody that any of a family's aware of that is family. I have no idea. Don't know any names. No names have ever come across for me, but I know they're there, and I know the truth of it, and they always will be there.
Do you ever get names?
Yes, I do. That's another thing that's in the get out of here. Sorry, all the fur babies started coming in and gathering around.
I was going to take it personal.
Not you. I would never say that to you. Yeah, the last couple of years, it's the more I become in tune with it, and I've opened myself up to the gift or whatever I've been given. Yes, faces, names, situations do come across to me, and it's usually very quickly, and it's usually very personal. And I'm usually doing an investigation, and at a private residence a lot too. But I've gone to bigger events, and I've had names, and I've had people, right there looking it up, going, this person never lived here, and actually, yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I do get names, but like I said, the good ones nothing's ever come across, and I kind of like it that way.
Well, that's good. I mean, as long if it makes you feel good, that's all that really matters.
It does. I mean, just the appearance of them and the genuine empathy and the love and compassion that they have for me. I don't need a name to go with it.
Right. Well, we do have another question in the chat room that I need to get asked before we go to how to reach you. Sherry asks, going back to the attachments, how did they get rid of the attachments? How did you get rid of the attachments to your sons?
It was just one son.
Probably the one I know.
Yeah. I would have done things differently now with my experiences, but to tell you the truth, we're all men of faith, and I prayed hard, because when I looked into my son's eyes and his face, it wasn't my son. And there's such thing as a power in prayer, because it was nonstop. It was a very frightening and real thing. And again, it was my fault for being so arrogant at the time. There's no other way to put it. Taking this group underneath my wing and getting away from what we have always done.
Right.
That's how, it worked. But now when I do it as attachment, I have to have hands on.
Right.
When it was happening with my son, he did not want any part of me. He did not want me touching him at all.
Right. Was he possibly afraid that the attachment could attach itself to you as well?
And see, that's what later on he did tell me that. And the thing that happens now, as I tell everybody, the attachment will come to me. Don't worry about me. The whole thing is I have to have them focus on me and away from the person they're attached to. And then I get them focused on me and then mad at me, and then they come to me. And I've done it so many times and done it so long now that they come over to me, and then I start to ignore them, and I just push them away. And then with all the spirits and stuff that surround me, they help, and I just keep pushing him and pushing him and pushing and laugh, and that makes it even harder for them to do anything. I get to laughing a lot of times, and I push them past any galaxy that we know of. I mean, push them past beyond space and time is how I get rid of it. But I do have them cross over to me, because then they forget completely about the person that they were attached to begin with,
Okay.
which is the whole goal. Is, they forget about the other person and they think, oh, I've got this one. Well, you think so.
And because you're bigger, they think you're bigger and better.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that you're 6'7". I'll get the big one.
And it was tough at first. It takes a lot out of me, but and it does. It's physically and mentally taxing to do it, but it's such an amazing, satisfying thing to look at the people that have had this attachment and how it was running their lives, basically, and how unhappy and negative it was, and to see them light up. Just looking at them, they're a different person. And they get worried about me, and I'm always telling them, no, focus on yourself. I'm fine.
Right.
It'll take me a minute, but I'll be back. They have no power or authority over me. And
I'm going to have an odd question. Well, it might seem odd. Do you feel that way because you've been baptized before, or that you've been baptized in your life?
I think so. I mean,
because I've never been baptized.
Right.
And I always wondered if some of the things that I see and stuff is related to the fact that I have never been baptized. Not that I don't believe in God, not that I've also never been saved, but I never felt like I needed to be saved because I believed in God, and and I pray, and I don't feel like I need all this other stuff. Now someday I might.
Right.
But I don't think that I already know I'm not the nicest person in the world, but I'm not going to say that I think that I'm a bad person, So
exactly.
I just don't feel like that is necessary for me to be baptized, for me to go through some of this stuff. But again, that's one of those things that I've always wondered about. If I had been baptized, would I still go through all these things that I see and feel and hear? Is that the reason why I get attacked when we're in locations? Because I've not been baptized and the spirits know it and know that I'm doubting, that maybe I am doubting not my faith, but my protection.
Right. And that's true. I mean, it happens to me when I walk in to certain places that it'll happen. And I believe, whatever path you take, I mean, it all comes full circle at some point. Everything intertwines and everything happens for a reason. And I think being baptized, I think I've been given something by a higher power as far as I'm concerned. And I don't take, I give thanks to a higher power for giving the ability to do what I do. I don't take any credit for it. You see what I mean? I mean, I say, I'm glad I could help, but I had somebody else's hand helping me do this when I did it. And it can happen to anybody's spirituality or what path they take, whether it be Native American, Wicca, or just, any of the stuff that's out there. And it all basically comes down to the same thing. We're given something by something else that's something we can't explain. It is a higher power than us, but it's given a gift to work through us for them. So I hope I didn't go too
no, you didn't. No, because the paranormal, a lot of it is spirituality. So wherever you get your spirituality from is where maybe that's where the protection comes from. So since we're at the last couple minutes of the show, how can people find you?
I'm not hard to spot. You could find me in the middle of Woodstock.
Yeah, I know that. You're 6'7". I got that.
I have my regular page, just Rex Nielson on Facebook. You can also find me on All Out Paranormal on Facebook. And I also have a third one for my art, which is Unexplainable Art. And you'll see if you go and look at my stuff, you'll go, yeah, I see why he calls it the way he does, because I have no rhyme or reason in what I do. I have my email addresses on all that. You can contact me through Messenger. I also have my telephone number on there. My phone is on 24/7. If I don't answer it, please leave me a message. I will return it ASAP. And that's basically, I don't have a website or anything right now with everything that's going on. I eventually will get one, but this is the social media that I have for right now. And there's other people that I'm associated with. If you know Daniel Klaus or Johnny Hauser or Richard Estep, Josh Hurd, Christopher St. Booth, they've sent me messages, hey, so-and-so was wondering how to get a hold of you, and then you'll be getting a message from this individual. They got a hold of me. So it can be done that way. They could even ask you, hey, I didn't catch everything. How can I get a hold of Rex?
Yeah, sorry, everyone. Lost my computer crashed in the middle of all that.
Oh
no. So I would like to thank you so much for being on. I don't know if Kat played the end, but I hope we get to meet up sometime in the near future. I hope that you guys have a very happy Christmas and a great New Year, and give Chris and Kelly a hug or high five, air five, I don't care, from us, and let them know that we're thinking of them. And everybody, this is probably the last show of 2020 for me. If you guys want to have any guests you would like for me to get on, please send me a message and I'll see what I can do. But I look forward to spending 2021 with all of you, and have a great night. You're listening to WBHM-DB.com. Have a great year.